Welcome back, folks, to World of Warships Legends. I'm Soopa-Dave, and today the Blue Archive Montana came out, and it is different than the other Montana. It's not just the skin. We'll explain that later, but I want you to guys know I'm already slightly biased because I do really like the original Montana, and I know some people don't. I will say this Montana is like, the good angel sitting on your shoulder telling you to do nice things. This BA of Montana is like the evil one sitting on your shoulder saying, wreck the world. There is a huge difference between the two, and I did not expect it in the matches I've had. I've had a few matches with it. I've won every one. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with, like how we always do, with the commander. We are using Azure Lane, New Jersey. Now, if you don't have Azure Lane, New Jersey, or any of the inspirations that I have, just go to whatever commander you build on Americans. For example, on this build, I am using Arthas. Now, I finally had enough stuff to level up Arthas, so that's why to use Arthas now. That's why I'm using it. I'm just using it in place of Scharnhorst or on Americans. Also, Cunningham's pretty good for the extra grouping. D. Ravel. Otherwise, John Fisher is always a great battleship commander. We are using Flammable Cannoneer, Generating Drill Bits, Firefighter, Don't You Love It, and Fight Fire with Fire. All right, so let's go take a look at the ship here, guys. So for our modifications, we're using AA gun firing range. This is something I do. I'm not normally too worried about my traverse speed, and having that extra AA, especially with a lot of the aircraft stuff lately going on, is definitely a big plus. So propulsion mod 2 is always in the third or the second slot. You could go with the rudder shift if you want. That's up to you. And as always, concealment mod 1 in slot 3. And then the last one, because it's American, we are doing artillery plotting 1 for that extra main battery dispersion. So, first thing, different than the other Montana. This is now the best heal on Americans. It is only 20 seconds, but it is over 1,000 HP. Did not realize that when I was setting this thing up. This thing, when I first played it, I was like, I just built it like Montana played. There's an argument to be had that you could build a different build just to get these extra repairs, and then you have an AP version of Conqueror, kind of. Not as good as Conqueror, but I'm just saying it's the American Conqueror. The one difference too here, guys, you don't have spotter planes, which for me, but I've been wanting to use Arthas anyway as an inspiration. Perfect time to do it. And the catapult fighter is a nice kind of anyway with the changes to the air stuff. So that's cool. And this Montana gets a 8% engine boost, guys. So that is kind of handy to have in this because Montana is not a rocket ship, okay? For our specs, 96,000 health, that's the same. The torpedo protection is the same. And there are some difference that I probably will miss, but I'm going to make sure I let you guys know about the main ones. For example, you have a much better reload. So if we're looking at artillery, you have the 16-inch guns that the other one has. But you trade a much better reload time and more AP shell damage. So you have 15,300. You can see this one here is 14,800. So you get more AP damage, and you're trading HE, I believe. Yeah, HE, which honestly I don't, it's American. I'll use HE. You're going to see me depth strike a destroyer in our match using AP, okay? So you don't need to use AP in these. and you have a much better reload. And what you're trading with that is your firing range. This doesn't have the firing range as the other one, but I'm a pretty aggressive player, so it doesn't affect me whatsoever on this ship. Normally at Legendary tier, it does bother me not having the really good distance because you play a lot of range at Legendary tier, but not so much for me on here. AA defense, it's friggin' awesome. I mean, it's an American battleship. They're pretty much all pretty good. One thing I will note too, here quick, you do have longer secondaries, but to be honest, they're not super worth building into. A few reasons: they're a smaller caliber, and they do not actually uh, they get disabled pretty quickly on this. So not worth really building into secondaries, especially when the main guns are this good. Maneuverability, it it's a it it's not bad. It doesn't turn well. That's really the biggest knock on it. And the concealment is 13.5, just like the other one. Now, I won't show you stats because I don't want to ruin the game that's coming up, but I have actually won every game in it so far. It's a Montana. I do well in my other one too. It's American battleship. I have a tendency to do pretty well on them. But anyway, here, so you do have the same basically everything that this is a Montana, right? So outside of Musashi and Yami, you can bow tank if you need to. You do have a pretty big superstructure up here, just so you are aware. People will try to farm it. And trust me, being that this is a brand new ship, people have been shooting at me like crazy, even though it's still just a normal Montana. Um, with that being said here, guys, it I have not taken much damage in it. It's just like a normal Montana, guys. If you angle this thing, you're going to be tough as heck, and you're going to be really hard to get out of a match. Now, if you sail broadside and say this thing isn't very good, well, I mean, that's on you. I mean, it does have the best armor belt in the game to my knowledge. And if it isn't the best currently, it's got to be really close. I know it has always been the best, and I can't think of anything new that's got a better armor belt on this at 409. So if you angle, you're absolutely fine. You can be farmed from fire starters on the superstructure just like a normal Montana though, guys. As we start the match, it's disclaimer time. This is a beginner's video meant to help people new to the ship or new to the game. This is not meant for professional gamers that know everything there is to know about everything in the universe. There are multiple ways to play and build this ship, and I am an above average player, not the world's best. I make mistakes. You may see one in this match. You didn't come here for pronunciations. I'm as good as anybody at slaughtering beautiful languages all the time. With that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and move up into the center. So we're on Sleeping Giant. If you can get control of the middle of the map on it, it's huge. And always, if I spawn in the center, I really tried. Now, our destroyer leaves us, so I'm going to be a little bit hesitant to just go charging in. I am an aggressive player, but I'm not a German battleship player, okay? I'm not going to just rush in and die. So you're going to see me slow down here and wait for the corner and just try to see. I was hoping our destroyer came back, and then I realized it was a Z-44, and you're going to realize really quickly I don't try to even have him spot for me. Not to be rude, but generally campaign ship players, if you run across them, more times than not, you're not going to be able to rely on. Just like you're not going to be able to rely on a lot of people in a Brisbane. So we are going to think this is clear. I actually didn't know where any of the destroyers were, obviously, at this point, but there is going to be a time frame here where I didn't realize all three of them were spotted. And we're going to go ahead and move up, take a shot at the Petro, not hit at all. He must have turned out. I'm going to have a couple rough shots. The other thing I want you to mention, this was my first match with Arthas ever as an inspiration. So I kept having the nasty habits of using it like my spotter plane on accident. Like you'll see that I'm for most of the match I use it correctly and I hit it right before the shells hit, but I have a habit in American battleships to use these spotting planes, obviously, and so when I take a shot, a lot of times I time it right with when I shoot, so I could get two in. So and we have a Yami sailing broadside. Obviously, it's going to be big, and there's a second Yami sailing broadside. Now, we're going to take a shot here, and honestly, I thought I aimed up just enough to get a good shot at him. I think he turns out or something because I don't get a good salvo out of this, and we get one shell to hit. And I'm guessing he was turning out, and I just didn't see it there, guys. Just like the Petro there. But right here, this is a point where I was saying, guys, I didn't realize that the other destroyer was already spotted. And it takes me a minute, and then you're going to see me get pretty aggressive. So also thanks to my teammate who also spawned in the middle of that other battleship. I'm not sure what it was, but getting crossfire over here on the middle and controlling the middle is huge, and him being there was big. You know, the only problem is we're 3.5, 4 minutes in, and I have we're gonna be 4 minutes in, and I have 19,000 damage. That is gonna change very rapidly as Yami eats a torp, and we are right out at the edge of my range. So that's the shot I had here. But now you're gonna see I'm gonna get pretty aggressive, right? I have a buddy to my left that I'm not too worried about, and I want to get this cap because this is where I realize, oh, there is no destroyers here, and now I'm gonna start to go ahead and move up. Like I said, I'm an aggressive player, but I'm not ridiculous in like a German battleship type player where I just blindly rush in. I normally make sure it's calculated. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to push up and try to take this cap. I do it a lot in battleships. It's something I think more people should do is when you have the opportunity and you're not going to just get killed on your team, you definitely want to do that. Now, another reason is we lost a destroyer. So I definitely want to be aggressive and try to get this cap. Also, on that shot, the one thing on that shot, wasn't sure if I was gonna hit the mountain, so I didn't use Arthas. I should have used the darn Arthas because that would have even hurt a lot more. Yami sailing broadside, you're just gonna get citadels. Montana is not gonna miss citadels on a fully broadside, a full broadside like this. This Yami it was as broadside as you're gonna get. So I'm paying attention to him, but you can see the Schleflin is over here now, so we're gonna have to worry about him, and we are gonna take a shot at him. He is actually gonna turn out, so I actually do not get a lot of this. You'll notice in a Montana, I aim up a little bit higher unless I am within 13 kilometers. That's always because I'd rather get side plating and superstructure instead of, just getting absolutely bouncing shells and whatnot, which can happen sometimes. But anyway, Yami's sitting here. I mean, I don't need to say anything. Let's be honest here. American battleship shooting a broadside anything, this is going to be your reaction. As we get our first step strike, as we're taking our cap. Now, I'm not really too worried about the battleship over here. Yes, it's got secondaries. Yes, it's kind of tanky, but generally, German battleship players have a tendency to be overly aggressive, and this guy is going to be no different. So, we're going to take a decent amount of health off his superstructure. We didn't aim at his belt. You're going to see, I don't even worry about that battleship. Why do I not worry about that battleship? Because we have a Tulsa that's over there right by our destroyer, and I need to help get rid of him. All right? You always, if you get the opportunity to get rid of radar destroyers, you need to, okay? You can't complain about your your destroyer teammates when you're not helping them out. So, and then, honestly, I'm not threatened by the battleship whatsoever. And we're going to go ahead and take another shot at him. And this whole time, we're gaining control of the map, and we have, in the process of doing that, we've got some really good crossfires, right? You can't angle to everybody as we take down the Schleflin, and you can see right here, right now, I am worried about taking control of the cap. I mean, I don't need to be. You're going to see I just move forward. But my aggressive move into the middle was for crossfires and taking this cap. Okay? Because when I moved up here into the cap, we were actually losing. And it very quickly turned. As you can see, a couple minutes later, now I have 150,000 damage. And it wasn't all just battleships. We took out that Tulsa pretty rapidly, and I'm pretty sure we made our destroyer buddy over there pretty happy. So you don't have to worry about a radar. Also, I keep forgetting how good the heal is on this thing. Haven't only played it. This is I think the second match I played in it. All of them have been pretty similar for the most part. And I just realized that shot on Tulsa actually wasn't technically a dev strike. But we're gonna hit Vermont here. And we're going to get a pretty good salvo as we get our high caliber. And we have the cap. Not that it matters at this point, but we're going to move in. This side of the map really doesn't even know I'm over here very much. Maybe Petro, but, Vermont hasn't seen me outmatched. So we're going to go ahead and shoot up in. Try to get his superstructure if we can. But we're more about moving in and getting rid of Petro here. And getting an angle on these teammates. So as you can see, Petro has made the mistake of going out in the open here. I think he was trying to bow tank our other two battleships and kind of stay angled to them. But it's hard when you have three people. So it's not a rip on this guy. It's just hard to, have everybody on every side. He was close enough where we ended up just getting a bunch of overpins on him. And that's okay. We did, do significant amount of damage. And we know that right now, we know that the Vermont's in front of us. But then I see Torps coming by. And I see on the last part of the map where the destroyer was. And no, you're going to see I don't load HE, right? I stay with armor piercing because American armor piercing does so much damage that the overpen damage on it is as good as just shooting these things with HE almost anyway. And you're going to see we take a Shimakaze and absolutely destroy him. That was a dev strike with guns on a destroyer. Also, getting our Confederate 2K damage, more importantly than the damage and the kills, was helping our team win, as we have a 3,300 base game at the tier. We took a capture, or we took a base, right? We got a capture. We also took out a cruiser and a important cruiser, and obviously a destroyer, super important, really helping our team win. This ship's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have some really crazy games in it. I just know it. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time, folks. Have a good one.